It is Thursday, March 18th. It's time to check our bell work. Of course, you're going to simplify all these, right? And of course, I gave you the same 3 digits again for these top problems, but just different operations. So let's have at it. For number 1, I have 2 1/6 plus 1 2/3. And those are not common denominators. And when we add fractions, they need to be. So I ask myself, is there something I can multiply the lower denominator by to get the higher? And the answer is yes. It's 2. 3 times 2 is 6. So I can solve 2 1/6 plus 1 and 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6. Now we can add because our denominators match. 1/6 plus 4/6 is 5/6, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So we get 3 and 5/6. For number 2, same idea here. I know I'm going to have 2 1/6 minus 1 4/6 because it's the same as this one, right? However, I can't take 4/6 away from 1/6, so I have to borrow. When I borrow from this 2 and it becomes 1, I need to add 6/6 to 1/6 because 1 whole in this case would be 6/6. And 6/6 plus 1/6 is 7/6. So I'm just going to go boop, there, it's a 7 now. And we can subtract this. 7/6 minus 4/6, well, 7 minus 4, that's 3. And I keep my 6, and 1 minus 1 is 0, so I don't really need to put a 0 there, do I? And that 3/6, we cannot leave it that way. It's equal to 1/2. So 1/2 should be your final answer. Number 3, I want you to multiply these mixed numbers, so we need to make them improper before we can do that. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13/6, and 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5/3. All right. No, there's nothing to cross cancel here. You really have to do 13 times 5. I know, it's crazy. I'm going to break this 13 apart into 10 times 5 and 3 times 5 because that's the same thing, right, as 13 times 5. So 10 times 5 is 50 and 3 times 5 is 15. And when I add them together, I will get the product of 13 times 5, which is 65. 6 times 3 is 18. Okay. So now I have to figure out how many 18s will go into 65 without going over. And I like to use kind of like rounding when I do this. So like 18 is pretty close to 20, right? So I know that 20, 40, 60, I know I could fit 3 20s into 65. So I'm guessing that we could fit 3 18s into 65. If we're wrong, we'll find out if my numerator is larger than my denominator. But let's see. So I'm thinking it's 3. So what I have to do to see what's left over is I need to figure out what 18 times 3 actually is. So to do 18 times 3, there's a couple different ways to do it, but we can use this break apart that we've been using. It's actually a distributive property. Break apart sounds so fancy though, doesn't it? Much fancier than distributive property. Anyway, I'm rambling, sorry. 18 times 3, I'm gonna do 10 times 3 is 30, and 8 times 3 is 24, and 30 plus 24 is 54. Okay. So I know that I'm at 54. In order to figure out my numerator, I need to know how much more is it to get from 54 to 65. Well, if I go 54, 64, that's 10, and 1 more, 65. So it's 11 away out of 18. And I know we chose right with a 3 because I didn't get something larger than my denominator for that. So 3 and 11 18ths is what you should have. All right, for number 4, 1/4 divided by 10. I am going to rewrite my 1/4 and multiply that by the reciprocal of 10, which would be 1/10. And you should have 1/40. 4 divided by 1/10 is the same as 4 times 10, which would be 40. And 4 divided by 10, maybe you just looked at it as 4 divided by 10. This is the same thing as 4 times 1/10, which is 4/10. But let's not leave it like that because it's just not right because 2 divides into both of those. And 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 2/5 should be your final answer for that one. Okay, a couple more story problems. We're almost there. Math stories, sorry. Maddie has 12 cups of Skittles. How many days will the Skittles last if she eats 1/3 of a cup each day? So how much does she have to start? She has 12 cups, okay? And if she's gonna scoop out 1/3 of a cup and eat it every day, right? So over and over again, she's gonna take away 1/3. What operation is repeated subtraction? Yes, it is division, very good. So your 12 should go first because that's the amount of Skittles she starts with. And I want to know how many 1/3 are there in 12? How many days can she do this? And to figure that out, 12 divided by 1/3, I would multiply 12 by the reciprocal of 1/3, which is 3. And 12 times 3 is 36. Maybe you did 10 times 3 is 30 and 2 times 3 is 6 and added them together. Or maybe that's just one that you knew. Plenty of ways to figure it out. Maybe you knew 6 times 3 was 18, and then you did another 6 times 3 and did 18 plus 18. The ways are endless. Anyhow, 36 days. That's a lot of days in a row to eat 1/3 of a cup of Skittles. I wouldn't recommend it. All right, Marcus wants to give each of his 5 friends 3 3/5 ounces of Jolly Ranchers. All about the candy for this bell work. How many ounces, this should say of Jolly Ranchers will he need? So he wants to give each of his 5 friends 3 3/5. How many does he need? Well, he needs 3 3/5 for each one of his friends, right? So he needs 3 3/5 5 times. I could do 3 3/5 plus 3 3/5 plus 3 3/5 plus 3 3/5 plus 3 3/5. Or if I know I have 3 3/5 5 times, couldn't I just do 5 times 3 3/5? I sure can, because repeated addition is the same as multiplication. Now I'm going to keep my whole number the same. And again, if you wrote 3 3/5 first, the commutative property, totally fine. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 plus 3 is 18. So I have 5 times 18/5. I'm going to put a 1 under this 5. And lo and behold, I see I can cross simplify. I'm so thankful. 1 times 18 is 18. 1 times 1 is 1. And I'm left with 18 over 1, which is 18. So he'll need 18 ounces of Jolly Ranchers in order to share them, the kind student that he is, with his friends. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.